Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real. You can read every book out there. You can take every course. You can follow every financial guru on the internet. You can memorize all the quotes, listen to all the podcasts, copy every trick in the playbook. But if you wake up every day and you can't tell yourself, I'm showing up whether I feel like it or not, then none of that means a damn thing. You see, people love the word passive. It sounds smooth. It sounds easy. Makes you think you can just sit back, let your money work while you chill on a beach somewhere, sipping something cold with your phone off. And yeah, that dream is seductive. It whispers to you, you don't need to grind anymore, just automate it all, let it roll in while you sleep. But here's the truth you don't want to hear. If your habits are sloppy, if your attitude is lazy, if your discipline is soft, then all that passive income is just temporarily delaying the crash. Because money, it doesn't fix character. Money doesn't cure laziness. It amplifies who you are. So if you're undisciplined with a little, you're gonna be undisciplined with a lot. That's not theory, that's life, that's human nature. You ever seen someone win the lottery and lose it all in 2 years? That ain't bad luck. That's bad habits that were never confronted, never corrected. People want success, but they don't want the sacrifice. They want comfort, but they don't want commitment. Everybody wants to be free, but no one wants to be consistent. But let me tell you, freedom without discipline is chaos. It's a car with no brakes. It's a ship with no rudder. It feels like movement, but you're just drifting, slowly, dangerously. Let me break it down for you. Passive income is not the savior. It's the reward. You hear me, the reward. It's the outcome of years of effort, of building, of stacking wins when nobody's watching. It's not the shortcut, it's the side effect. But if you treat it like a cheat code, like a fast track, like some kind of escape plan from accountability, it'll betray you, it'll expose you, because when the money starts coming in, the temptations multiply. The distractions grow louder, the stakes get higher, and if your foundation isn't strong, it'll all come crumbling down. And you'll be standing in the middle of it, wondering what went wrong, when deep down you knew all along. You didn't build the man, or the woman. Behind the money, you want to be wealthy, be disciplined. You want to keep what you earn, be consistent. You want to level up, show up every single day. Not just when it's easy, not just when it's exciting, but when it's boring, when it's hard, when nobody's clapping for you. That's where the real separation happens. In the quiet, unglamorous corners of your life where most people tap out. It's not the investments you make with your money. It's the ones you make with your time, with your habits, with your integrity. That's where the wealth lives, not just in the bank, but in your mindset, in your values, in how you respond to pressure, in how you treat people when no one's watching, in how you bounce back from a loss, because life is going to hit you, business is going to hit you, the economy, it's going to hit you. You can be diversified, you can be optimized, but when that storm comes, and it will, what's going to keep you standing? Not some automated income stream, not some YouTube strategy. What keeps you standing is discipline, a relentless, non-negotiable, daily commitment to excellence. You think being rich is about numbers. No, it's about mastery. It's about building something solid inside yourself, something recession-proof, something crisis-proof, and that only comes from discipline. That only comes from saying no when it's inconvenient. From waking up when the world is sleeping, from pushing through when everything in you says stop. And don't get it twisted. This ain't about hustle for hustle's sake. This ain't about burning out. This ain't about being a robot. This is about structure, about order, about becoming the kind of person who can be trusted with success, trusted by your future self, because guess what? There's a version of you waiting down the road. And that version is either grateful for what you did today or angry at what you didn't. That's the real pressure, not money, legacy, not lifestyle, leadership, not just getting there, but becoming someone who deserves to stay there. You want to sit back and let the checks roll in, cool. But what did you build first? What did you sacrifice first? What did you become first? Because if you don't become, you won't sustain. It's as simple as that. Look, I've seen people rise fast and fall faster, I've seen people win big and then lose it all because their inner world didn't match their outer success. You can fake a launch. You can fake a lifestyle. But you can't fake character that shows up every time in the way you move, the way you respond, the way you recover, the way you lead when it's dark and no one's cheering. Discipline is the light you carry with you. It's what guides your steps when the motivation fades. And trust me, it will fade. All that excitement, all that hype, it's temporary. But discipline, that's eternal. That's the engine. That's the backbone. That's the real secret weapon. So stop looking for the easy button. Stop chasing the passive when you haven't mastered the active. You gotta grind before you glide. You gotta prove you can lead yourself before you expect life to hand you the keys. Because let me tell you something, money might open doors, but discipline is what keeps them open. You know what scares me? Not people with power, not people with money. What scares me? Undisciplined people with success. Because that's a ticking time bomb. That's a recipe for collapse. You give someone resources without responsibility. That's like giving a child the keys to a jet. Sooner or later they crash. You don't want to crash. You don't want to win the game and lose your soul. So build the foundation, do the work no one sees, sweat in the shadows, so when the spotlight finds you, you're ready, you're solid, you're rooted, because discipline don't lie. It doesn't pretend, it doesn't hype, it just shows up every day, quietly, consistently, like gravity, and when you master that, when discipline becomes your identity, the income will come, the freedom will come. The peace will come, and this time it won't vanish, because you'll be ready to hold it. Not because you got lucky, but because you built it, day by day, choice by choice, brick by brick, not for applause. Not for praise, but because you knew deep down, this is who I am now, and when that happens, that's not just financial freedom, that's spiritual freedom, that's emotional freedom, that's a life that can't be taken away. Because it wasn't built on shortcuts, it was built on discipline. People throw around the term passive income like it's magic, like it's a secret tunnel that bypasses struggle, hard work, and discipline. They think once the checks start coming in while they sleep, the problems disappear. But the truth is, if you're looking to passive income to save you, to bail you out of a life that's messy, unorganized, undisciplined, you're playing yourself. Because passive income, real passive income, the kind that lasts, is earned. It's not a rescue plan. It's not some get out of jail, free card from responsibility. It's not something you stumble into because you followed some step-by-step course. It's the reward for something much deeper. Much harder, something most people don't want to face. You got to understand the root before you chase the fruit. People see the results. Someone's pulling in thousands a month without working for it, and they want that. But they don't see the years of grind it took to build that system. The nights spent researching, learning, failing, tweaking. The months when nothing worked and nobody cared. That's the part no one's putting on Instagram. That's the part that doesn't go viral, but that's the cost. That's the price for passive income that actually lasts, that doesn't fold the minute life punches you in the face. And here's the kicker. If you haven't developed the habits, the structure, the internal discipline to manage your time, manage your mind, manage your emotions, then even if the money starts flowing, it won't stay. Because money doesn't change your mindset, it magnifies it. If you're reckless broke, you'll be reckless rich. If you avoid responsibility when you're struggling, you'll still avoid it when you're thriving. The income is passive, but the preparation is not. You don't fall into freedom, you build into it. There's this dangerous idea going around that passive income is this gateway to total relaxation. That once you hit that number $5K a month, $10K a month, you can just coast. You don't have to work on yourself anymore. You don't have to show up anymore. That is a trap, a setup, a lie. Because the moment you stop showing up is the moment the structure starts to crack. Systems need attention. Investments need evaluation. Businesses need leadership. Even passive income streams require energy, direction, stewardship. So if you think you can just earn your way out of discipline, you're setting yourself up to fall. You want passive income to work, you better have active commitment, active growth, Active accountability, because money without mastery is chaos. It's noise. It becomes a source of stress instead of a source of freedom. And that's why so many people sabotage themselves after they start making money. They didn't build the character to sustain it. They didn't build the mindset to multiply it. They didn't build the wisdom to navigate the silence that comes after the goal is reached. And now they're lost because they confuse the reward for the work. Real passive income, it's not about escaping the grind. It's about leveraging the grind. It's about stacking years of intentional effort so you can build something that serves you back. It's about working so hard today that your future self gets to breathe easier tomorrow. But don't think for 1 second that the breathing comes before the building, that the harvest comes before the planting. You don't get fruit if you don't plow the soil, water the roots, protect the growth. That's what most people miss. You want to own your time, earn that. You want financial peace, earn that. You want income without clocking in, earn that. You do that by waking up when no one's telling you to, by managing your energy when nobody's watching, by doing the unsexy stuff, the stuff that doesn't pay immediately, creating content, researching deals, fixing systems, reaching out, learning, failing forward. That's what it looks like, and if you think you're above that, you're not ready. You're chasing a reward your mindset can't support yet. Because listen, passive income isn't the solution to your lack of discipline. It will only expose it. If you can't control your spending, if you can't delay gratification, if you can't create before you consume, if you can't hold yourself to standards, then even when the money flows, you'll still be broke in spirit. Broke in vision, broke in impact, because you thought money could do what only character can do. And that's never gonna work. You gotta reframe the goal. It's not about escaping work, it's about changing your relationship with work. It's about creating leverage, not laziness, building freedom, not fantasy. And freedom isn't just about sitting on a beach doing nothing. That gets old, that gets empty. Real freedom is having the power to choose what to work on, when, with who, and why. But that freedom only comes after you've earned the right to handle it with maturity. That freedom demands you bring a version of yourself to the table who can operate with excellence even when no one's giving you orders. And I get it. We live in a world of shortcuts. Everyone's selling the dream. Everyone's pushing the easy path. But don't fall for it. Don't get fooled into thinking you can skip the transformation and still receive the treasure. You can't. You won't. Passive income is a blessing, but only to the person who built it on the right foundation. To the undisciplined, it's a curse. It becomes a mirror, and if you don't like what you see in that mirror, no amount of income will fix it. So you want the reward, cool, go get it. But don't forget to build you first. Build the patience, build the toughness, build the consistency, because that's what carries you when the markets shift, when the business dips, when the algorithm changes, when the passive becomes not so passive. That's what lets you pivot, adapt, and grow without panicking. That's the difference between lasting success and temporary hype. And the best part, when you build that discipline when you really own it, not just talk about it. You stop chasing income. You start attracting it. You stop needing to force things. You start moving with clarity. You stop feeling desperate. You start making decisions from strength. That's the real reward, not just the checks. Not just the numbers, but who you become on the way there, a person who's unshakable, focused, free, not because you escaped work, but because you redefined it, because you mastered yourself before you tried to master money. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants to rise, to win, to be seen. But most people want it on sale. They want the highlight without the hard part. They want the spotlight without walking through the shadows. And the moment life starts pressing them, the moment success asks for a receipt, most of them fold. Not because they're not talented, not because they're not smart, but because they never learned to stay when it's not fun. They never learned discipline, and without discipline, success is temporary at best, a moment, not a lifestyle, a spark, not a fire. Discipline is the thing nobody sees, but everybody feels. It's what separates the talkers from the doers, the dreamers from the builders. You can have all the goals in the world, but without discipline, they stay dreams. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation will get you to start, but discipline will keep you in the game when motivation runs dry. And it will run dry. Because some days you'll wake up tired, some days you'll feel empty, some days you'll question everything, but discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline says we show up anyway. People confuse discipline with punishment. But it's not about being hard on yourself. It's about being committed to yourself. It's about showing yourself that your word means something, that your promises matter, that you're not just chasing comfort. You're building legacy. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being faithful. Faithful to your routine, faithful to your values, faithful to your growth even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. See, success will test you, not just when you're losing, but even more when you're winning, when you've got options, when no one's telling you what to do. That's when discipline becomes the anchor. That's when it keeps you grounded. Because opportunities will come that look good, but aren't good for you. Distractions will dress themselves up like destiny. And if you're not rooted, if you're not disciplined, you'll chase noise and miss the signal. You'll chase the quick and miss the quality. You'll end up busy but not productive. Full schedule, empty results. And it's not just about business. It's not just about money. Discipline spills into every part of life. Your health, your relationships, your thoughts. You can't compartmentalize excellence. If you're sloppy in one area, eventually it bleeds into another. You can't crush your career and neglect your character. You can't succeed in public and rot in private. That gap will collapse. It always does. Discipline isn't just about doing. It's about being. Being the kind of person success can trust. Being the kind of person who doesn't fall apart when nobody's clapping. Discipline means doing what's right even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. It means holding the line when everything in you wants to drift. And make no mistake, drift is easy. Drift is natural. Discipline is not. It's a choice, a decision, a muscle, and the only way to make it stronger is to keep using it. Every day, not once in a while, not when you feel inspired, every single day when it's raining. When it's inconvenient, when it's thankless, you show up, you do the reps, you keep the promise. The ones who make it long term, they're not always the most gifted. They're the ones who figured out how to keep moving when the excitement faded. When no one was watching, when it stopped being glamorous. Success loves to test your patience. It loves to show up slow, because it's not looking for the loudest voice, it's looking for the quietest consistency. The kind that doesn't need validation to keep moving. The kind that doesn't negotiate with the alarm clock. The kind that doesn't scroll through excuses when it's time to execute. And that's the part nobody can do for you. Discipline is not downloadable. You can't outsource it. You can't fake it. It's built in the moments when you choose effort over ease, intentionality over impulse, purpose over pleasure. That's how it forms. That's how it strengthens. And the stronger it gets, the easier it is to say no to what doesn't align, to stop being reactive and start being strategic, to stop chasing dopamine and start building direction. You want to be consistent, you better train discipline. You want to rise and stay there, discipline. You want to lead other people, you better lead yourself first. That's what makes leaders. People who do the hard thing first. Who eat last, who work without applause, who grind when it's quiet, who keep their word when it's inconvenient. That's not discipline as a task. That's discipline as an identity, and let me tell you this, discipline doesn't mean you won't get tired. It doesn't mean you won't get knocked down. It doesn't mean you won't feel lost some days. What it means is that you refuse to quit just because it's uncomfortable. You refuse to let feelings dictate outcomes. You build a system in your life that runs even when you're running on empty. And that system, that discipline, that's what keeps you going when inspiration is nowhere in sight. Discipline is what builds trust. In yourself, in your team, in your future. People trust people who are consistent, who don't fold when it's raining, who don't need an audience to do the right thing. and the more you prove to yourself that you can be counted on, the more confidence you build. Not arrogance, confidence, the kind that says, I've seen myself do hard things. I've seen myself stay the course. I don't need to hope I'll be ready. I know I'm ready. It's not flashy, it's not trendy, but it's essential because nothing great is built on hype. Nothing meaningful is built on convenience. You don't get championship results with a casual mindset. You get it by choosing discipline even when it doesn't feel good. Even when the reward is far away, even when nobody's posting about it. That's how you build sustainable success. Not just success that shows up, but success that stays. Discipline doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. It makes you sharper. It gives you control in a world that's trying to distract you at every turn. And once you have it, once it becomes part of how you breathe, how you think, how you act, you realize something powerful. There's nothing you can't create. Nothing you can't overcome, nothing you can't become, because you're not waiting on the world to change. You've trained yourself to change you, and that changes everything. You can stack your money high. You can build an empire. You can drive the car, wear the watch, post the lifestyle. But if your foundation on the inside is weak, your values, your character, your self-control, none of that outer success is going to last. It might look good for a season. It might fool a few people for a while. But eventually the cracks show. Eventually life presses on what's real, and everything that was just for show starts to crumble. Because the truth is, without inner growth, outer wealth is temporary. It fades, it slips, it betrays you. There's this illusion in the world today that says if you make enough money, your problems go away. That if you can just hit a certain number, everything inside you will magically align. But it doesn't work like that. Money can solve financial problems, yes, but it doesn't fix insecurity. It doesn't fix impatience. It doesn't fix ego, addiction, resentment, fear. Those things live inside you, and unless you confront them, grow past them, transform them, you're just building success on top of dysfunction. You're dressing up the pain instead of healing it. And what happens when you do that? The money becomes a mask. The lifestyle becomes a distraction. The success becomes a substitute for real self-worth. You start measuring your value by your income. You start thinking your net worth is your worth. But deep down you feel empty. You feel like an imposter, and you keep chasing more, thinking that more will fix the void. But more doesn't fix the void. More just deepens it, because no amount of outer gain can make up for a lack of inner peace. That's why you see people blow up their own lives at the top. Athletes, CEO, celebrities, people who made it. People who had everything and still felt like it wasn't enough. That's not because they weren't successful. That's because they never grew into the kind of person who could carry that success. They built the empire, but they neglected the builder. They got everything they ever wanted and realized it didn't heal what was broken. Because success without self-awareness is dangerous. Power without personal development is reckless. You want to build something that lasts, start with you. Start with the way you think, the way you talk to yourself. The way you handle pressure, the way you handle silence, the way you treat people when they can't do anything for you, the way you respond when things don't go your way. That's where the real growth lies. That's the real work, and most people avoid it because it's not glamorous, it doesn't get likes. You don't get trophies for it, but it's the difference between a life that looks good and a life that is good. You ever met someone who was wealthy and miserable? You ever seen someone with everything on paper, but nothing in their soul? That's what happens when success outruns growth, when you don't expand with the blessings. When you let your results get bigger than your maturity, and the truth is, life won't let that imbalance last forever. Sooner or later, something snaps, the business breaks, the relationships collapse. The pressure gets too heavy, and you start making decisions out of weakness instead of wisdom. Inner growth isn't optional. It's not something you get around to once the money comes in. It's not something you outsource to therapy when things fall apart. It's the first step, the daily work, Because when you grow inside, everything outside starts to reflect it. You build with integrity, you lead with humility, you handle success with gratitude, not ego. And that attracts more, that multiplies, because you're no longer just performing success. You're living it. And here's the thing. Inner growth is not about being perfect. It's not about never messing up. It's about owning your stuff. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about learning from the pain instead of avoiding it. It's about choosing growth when comfort is calling. It's about asking the hard questions. Why do I want what I want? Who am I trying to impress? What am I trying to avoid? Those questions hurt, but they heal. And when you face them, you build something that success can rest on, not something that collapses under pressure. A lot of people think success will make them become someone better, but it actually does the opposite. It reveals who you already are, it magnifies your patterns. It shines a spotlight on your blind spots. So if you're insecure, success will make you more insecure. If you're undisciplined, money will just speed up yourself. Sabotage. If you're ungrateful, no amount of winning will feel like enough. That's why inner growth has to come first. So when success comes, it finds you ready, not desperate, not thirsty, not looking to prove something, but grounded, clear, focused. You want peace, that's inner growth. You want clarity, that's inner growth. You want relationships that are real, not transactional, that's inner growth. And you know what? When that happens, when your spirit is steady, when your values are intact, when your vision is bigger than just yourself, that's when outer wealth becomes a tool, not a trap. That's when money serves you, not the other way around. That's when success feels right, not just impressive, but aligned. You stop chasing money to fill a hole. You start using it to build something meaningful. To invest in people, to create impact, to move with purpose, and that shift, that's what turns temporary gain into generational wealth. That's what turns hustle into legacy, because legacy doesn't come from what you earn. It comes from who you are when you earn it. And if you haven't grown, if you haven't healed, if you haven't faced your demons, then everything you build is sitting on shaky ground. It starts with how you think, how you move when no one's watching, how you treat yourself in private. You can't shortcut that. You can't fake that. That's the part that makes you dangerous in the right way, not because of what you have, but because of what you've become. And that's the kind of wealth no recession can touch. No market can shake. That's the kind of wealth that builds empires that outlast you. So build it. From the inside out, grow your mindset. Strengthen your spirit. Develop your emotional endurance, work on your patience, sharpen your humility, own your truth, because all the outer success in the world means nothing if you're still lost on the inside. But when the inside is strong, when the root is deep, when the core is solid, that's when you rise. And this time, you don't just reach the top. You belong there. Before you chase the lifestyle, before you chase the image, the flex, the recognition, you've got to build something that can carry the weight of it. You've got to build character, because without character, all that success you're aiming for turns into a burden instead of a blessing. It turns into a performance you have to keep up instead of a purpose you get to live out. And the performance gets heavy, the mask starts to slip. And when the mask slips, if you haven't built the person behind it, everything starts to fall apart. We're living in a time where lifestyle is everywhere. You scroll through social media and you see the vacations, the watches, the cars, the luxury. Everybody's selling the dream, but nobody's showing you the grind behind it. Nobody's showing you the sacrifice. Nobody's talking about the mornings when you don't feel like getting up. The choices you have to make when no one's clapping. People want the applause before they earn the respect. They want to be admired before they're even dependable. And that's dangerous. That's how you build a life on sand. The lifestyle might impress people, but it doesn't mean anything if the person behind it can't be trusted. You can have all the followers in the world, but if you lack integrity, if you lack humility, if you lack responsibility, it's just a matter of time before the truth catches up to you. Because image might open doors, but only character keeps them open. Style might get you into the room, but only substance keeps you there. And character isn't something you buy, It's not a brand. It's not a filter. You don't stumble into it. You don't get it handed to you. You build it. You earn it. You forge it in the decisions nobody sees. When you tell the truth, even when it costs you. When you stay late and do it right, even when you could have cut corners. When you put people before profit. When you choose principle over popularity, that's how character gets built. Decision by decision, brick by brick. You see, the lifestyle can be taken away. The cars, the house, the money, it's all temporary. One wrong move, one market crash, one scandal, and it's gone. But character, that stays, that endures, that follows you into every room, every relationship, every opportunity. And the crazy part is, character doesn't even need to speak for itself. It shows itself. In the way you move, in the way you treat people, in the way you carry pressure, in the way you respond to both praise and criticism. And if you build that first, if you prioritize becoming the right person before chasing the right image, everything else starts to align. You make decisions with clarity, not confusion. You stop chasing validation. You stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You stop needing the lifestyle to feel worthy because your worth isn't based on what you wear or what you drive. It's based on who you are. Let's talk real for a second. Do you want to be rich or do you want to be solid? Do you want to impress or do you want to lead? Do you want to build something real or something that looks good in a photo? Because you can't fake solid, you can fake rich. You can fake success, but solid, that shows up in the hard seasons, that shows up when life hits you in the mouth, that shows up when everyone else folds, but you're still standing because you're rooted in something deeper. You ever seen someone with all the trappings of success and none of the peace? Someone who's chasing the next high because the last one didn't fix what was broken inside. That's the result of chasing lifestyle before character. That's what happens when you decorate the outside before cleaning the inside. It's a dangerous trap, because the world will celebrate your image while your integrity rots. It'll cheer you on as you self-destruct until you fall. And then it forgets you. But character, that's legacy. That's what your kids remember. That's what your people talk about when you're not in the room. That's what carries weight when the applause dies down. And you know the wild part. The more character you build, the less you need the lifestyle. Not because success doesn't matter, but because you're already full, you're already clear, you're already whole. This doesn't mean you can't want nice things. There's nothing wrong with ambition, nothing wrong with wanting to live well, but it has to come after the foundation is built, after you've developed the patience to wait, the resilience to grow, the courage to stay honest. Otherwise, you're just building a taller tower with no support. And the higher you go, the harder the fall, and don't get it twisted. Character doesn't just happen once and stay perfect. You have to keep working on it. Keep checking yourself. Keep listening to feedback. Keep growing through failure. Character is maintenance. It's self-awareness. It's choosing to do what's right when what's easy is right. They're calling your name. And that decision, that quiet, invisible decision, that's where real power lies. And the truth is, you already know what needs to be built in you. You know the habits you've been avoiding, the conversations you need to have, the self-discipline that's been slipping, the standard you keep lowering. It's not a mystery. It's just a choice. A hard one, yes, but a necessary one, because you can't cut the character work. Not if you want what lasts. So every time you get tempted to chase the lifestyle, before you're ready, slow down. Ask yourself, am I building something that can survive success? Am I someone who can be trusted with influence? Can I carry the weight of what I'm asking for? Because success doesn't just give, it reveals, it amplifies. And if what's inside you isn't right, no amount of money, fame, or opportunity will ever be enough to fix it. But if the inside is right, if the foundation is solid, then the lifestyle becomes the bonus, not the goal. It becomes the fruit, not the root. It becomes something you enjoy, not something you hide behind. And that's the difference between looking successful and being successful, between chasing something that fades. and becoming someone who lasts.